Good afternoon. Hopefully y'all can hear me. I'm live from my balcony today, so this should be interesting. Let me know if there's like a lot of feedback. I'm outside, so there's like cars moving, but if it ever gets too loud, let me know. I have my earbuds in, so hopefully it kind of controls the noise, and it actually might make it worse. Now that I think about it, because they be on ambit. But happy Monday. I hope that everyone is having a great Monday so far. It is a busy Monday for me as I get prepared for an amazing weekend for Eudaimonia to take over Houston with our Hydrate Houston event this weekend. So I only had yesterday and today off. So I'm back in Dallas trying to get everything situated before I head back to Austin tomorrow to go to work tomorrow night. So I have an amazing conversation prepared for you guys today. It is the last day of Black History Month, but that doesn't mean that we stop celebrating. But I feel like it would be a great way to end Black History Month with talking about mental health in the Black community. So I will have Arissa Mosley, who's a licensed marriage family therapist. I always have to slow down when I say that, who is going to be joining me. Arissa, send me a request to join the live. It should be at the bottom of the screen, so then it'll pop up so I can add you to it. So great way for us to close out the month. We're talking about a topic that a lot of people are uncomfortable with discussing. But it isn't a conversation that gets overlooked and gets missed. And especially with, a lot of recent headlines, I felt like it was an important conversation for us to have. So it should be on the bottom where it'll say send a request to join the live. Or if you don't see it, you may have to go back out and come back in. So let me know how you guys are doing today. What are we tackling this week? How is your mindset today? I am tired, but I'm always tired. It's just the life. But I'm excited. I always get super nervous before any event. So, we have that. Hey now, bae. Oh, here we go. Boom. She should be popping on here. Okay. You found it?
It wouldn't let me do it from the computer, only my phone.
Oh, yeah. It doesn't work like that. Can you hear me well? Or I'm outside today changing up the scenery.
I can't hear you.
Oh, here we go. Oh, wait, no, that's not. So I'm trying to go live on my on my Facebook page. And I'm having a hard time finding it on my business page. And that's always my life. So, we can get started. I kind of did a little intro. No, this is just not. This is why I don't ever go live on Facebook. I really try my best, and every time it don't work for me.
I didn't even know you can go live on Facebook, but
Yeah, I've done it once. I ain't done it again. So I'll pick them up in a minute. I'll try to find it. So welcome to our final Black History Month series on health and wellness. As you know, the theme for this Black History Month was Black health and wellness. So I wanted to tie into mental health as well this month because it's also so important. So if you would give the people a little introduction and let them know who you are, a little bit about your business, and yeah, turn it over to you.
Hey y'all, Aristi Mosley, owner and CEO of Puzzle Piece Counseling. Puzzle Piece is 3 or will be 3 next month, which is crazy to me. Oh, it's been almost 3 years next month. Right now I see adults over 18, individuals, couples, and families. I am a licensed marriage and family therapist, so I like to work more with families and couples. But I'm starting to kind of get into just young Black adults because this pandemic has affected us a lot. I mean, it's affected everyone, but really young Black adults are really struggling. So, and most of my caseload is kind of that right now. I'm based in Austin. I do only do virtual therapy though, so I can see anybody in the state of Texas. But when I do finally go back in person, I'll be in Austin.
Okay. Okay. How do they find you on your social media?
So I only have Instagram and Facebook. It's Puzzle Piece Counseling. Um, and my website, Puzzle Piece Counseling,
You keep cutting in and out.
probably my phone. Oh. It's
Okay.
probably not.
Yeah, you just like go in and out.
Yeah, because this maybe I'll hold my phone instead of sitting down. Is that better?
We'll see. I'll let you know when I can't hear you anymore. I'm just sending it out to. Oh, I didn't send it to.
Plug. This is her Lips Clear lip gloss. It's the only lip gloss I wear. I don't wear lipstick, so I gotta wear the
I'm a
lip
little
gloss.
bare lips right now, but it's okay. Uh, I give up on Facebook right now, so I'm just gonna leave that alone. We'll try it another time.
You can just share it later, probably.
Maybe, but it's stressing out. Uh, so I wanted to start kind of with some um, statistics about what's going on. So you mentioned that the pandemic has been very difficult on a lot of individuals. And so in recent news, we've seen several African Americans who have committed suicide. You
Hmm.
have the former Miss USA, Chesley Chris. There was another, I don't remember the other name of the black lady.
I don't remember her name. Is it Miss Alabama though? Was she Miss Alabama? I believe. Was it? I'm not
Yes.
sure.
And then you have Gina King's son, the Walking
Mhm.
Dead star Moses Mosley, uh, the mayor of Hattiesville, Maryland, Kevin Ward, and then I've also had a family friend, had a friend last week who committed suicide as well. Um,
Man.
so it's a lot of. So let me start this next. Um, so suicide deaths occur across the lifespan, but they have increased for Black youths. The highest rate of deaths amongst Black Americans are the ages of 25 to 34 years old. We were seeing a decline in suicide rates amongst the community, but like you were saying, the pandemic has heightened a lot of things for individuals.
Hmm.
Um, and so overall, the U.S. population suicide death rates for men are 4 times more likely than it is for women.
Hmm.
So many of you know I work ER, so we see mental health like it's rampant. So kind of talk to us and kind of, give us your thought process on those numbers because they are alarming.
I think what we're seeing, what a lot of therapists are seeing, is just the isolation of the pandemic is affecting a lot of people, which even myself, like off of my caseload, a lot of my clients disappeared when the pandemic started.
Mm-hmm.
It's because we all had to adjust to not being seen in person.
Mm-hmm.
For those who were seeing clients in person, and so those clients who were seeing therapists in person, they kind of stopped because they weren't comfortable seeing therapists virtually. And then as the pandemic just went on, the isolation of the pandemic, and then people were hit financially, so that people can't afford it, which is a big barrier anyway in our community, is just the access to mental health treatment or mental health services just in general. And so the pandemic kind of heightened all of those weak spots for people in our community to kind of get help. So outside of the stigma that comes with it in our community, then you have the pandemic adding to it and financial issues, and then like the shame of getting help or admitting that you might need help. And so with all of those things, it's just been a combination of so many people struggling.
So let's talk about the stigma that plagues Black men.
Mm-hmm.
So many of the older generation of Black families, it's like, and I know my grandmother's the same way. You pray about it. You pray about it, it'll go away. You don't want to send it
Mm-hmm.
to anybody. That's all you need is
Or
prayer.
so I've heard recently, like it's a white people thing. Like I've heard from like someone in the older generation, probably in the last week, was saying like before these white people, like before integration, Black people didn't have these issues. Like white people gave it to us, and I'm like, no, like they were struggling too. We just they was
Right.
dealing with other stuff.
So how do we, as our generation, how do we help to break apart that stigma of, you're not crazy because you need to see a therapist, or that doesn't
Right.
make you weak. Especially for a lot of Black men, they feel like going to talk to
Mm-hmm.
therapists makes them weak.
Right. I think we keep doing what we've been doing because our generation is probably the generation who are seeking mental health services the most. And I think that started to kind of like start the conversation with our parents and with our grandparents. And because I have clients that I see now that some of their parents know that they're in therapy and some of them don't know that they're in therapy. And so I actually help the client like role play to like talk to their parents about it. And so I think if our generation keep going and then just kind of exposing our parents, exposing our grandparents, and kind of having those conversations with them, and then they can see the change that happens within you and then kind of break those walls. But I just think we keep doing what we're doing, keep advocating about it, keep being loud about it, and just keep like assessing those services, and I think it'll help with that stigma.
And how do you break through to individuals who are ashamed to say that they need the help?
hmm I think it's just being consistent, really. One, you can't push people to get help. You can't, people who are going to get help, they're going to get it. And all you can do is kind of be there for them. Be kind of like I say like drop the seeds. Like even with clients, like I'm just dropping a nugget and you can do whatever you want with it. Just like being consistent and doing that. Like affirming them like it's not crazy, you're not crazy, you need help, like it's okay to go get help, and just keep being consistent with it, but not pushy, if that makes sense. Like just being consistent, like I'm here if you want me to help you get help, like that kind of stuff. Like just letting them know that you support them and that everything is going to be okay. And then hopefully over time that those walls will kind of come down. But even if it's you finding a therapist or doing like work for them and doing like the legwork for them, and then maybe like presenting them with that, like this is what you can do, I'm here to help you, I'm here to support you, I'm here to hold your hand through the process, and just be supportive, I think, in the process. But some people are just going to be, you know, the stigma is so deep rooted in our community. It's so hard. That's why it's like we just have to keep being loud about it and keep talking to our friends and our families about it.
So this is probably off topic. but like I know that you do see children, and
Mm-hmm.
so how does dealing with the mental health in kids, like I know you have parents who, you know, are the same way or against um,
Mm-hmm.
getting help. Does that show up in the children as well?
Well, see, the thing is, so I see kids through my full-time job, which most of them, they are children of color, but they're usually not black. They're just of other minorities. And so I'm seeing kind of the same stuff in those communities too. It's not so much of the stigma, it's more so of like, you fix my child. Like, I don't have a problem, but you fix my child, kind of thing. And so I think it is with the kids. A lot of kids, surprisingly though, they're asking for help. Like, I have maybe 6 kids on my caseload who told their parents, like, I want to go see a therapist, and that's what pushed their parents to kind of like get them in therapy. But parents, they don't think that they have any part of the process, right? Like, my kid is struggling, but I don't have nothing to do with that. You deal with them and fix them. Which people, we have to get out of that mindset, because a lot of times what kids are experiencing is because of their environment. Not all the time, but we kind of have to take all of that into consideration. So it's hard. That's the hard piece of my job, is telling parents to like be aware without them being defensive that they're doing something wrong, because they're not. They're just, it's just the environment.
And I asked that question because recently, probably within the last 6 or 7 months, um, our child suicide rate that we have been seeing in the hospital has drastically increased.
That's the pandemic too, though.
Exactly. And so I know, we focus on us as adults, but we also have to be mindful that, our nieces, our nephews, our kids, they're struggling as well. And
Mm-hmm.
so, as the adults, we also have to get ourselves out of that mindset of saying, no,
Right.
we don't need the help. Maybe you don't feel like you do, but maybe
Your
someone
kid,
in
yeah.
your life does need the help because they're struggling with
Right.
anxiety, they're struggling with depression. A lot of the children that come into the hospital with suicide attempts usually stems from um, something has transpired at school. They're
Mm-hmm.
not fitting in. They feel like nobody can talk to them. Their parents are overbearing. They feel like
Mm-hmm.
they don't listen to them. And so, and I mean, I'm seeing kids that are like 6 and 7 years old that are coming
Mm-hmm.
in with
Yep. I
suicide
have a
attempts.
couple five. I have a couple 5-year-olds on my caseload. Like, it's, you wouldn't think, and I think that's why the stigma is so important, because if we still in that mindset of having that stigma of getting help, then our babies are gonna suffer. Because, and then the other thing is, it's missed in children, because most kids can't even articulate their feelings. They can't tell you, like, I'm having anxiety or I'm feeling depressed. They're just not gonna be interested in things they're used to. They're gonna have stomach issues. They're gonna say they can't breathe. There's gonna be that kind of stuff where it looks like that's where the physical and mental health kind of coincide, is because if you don't take care of your mental health, it'll start to manifest itself physically.
Right. So, tying into that, so with the theme of being Black mental health and wellness, let's kind of talk about how our mental health plays into our overall wellness.
I think if it's not, so like I was saying, with the, if you don't take care of your mental health, it'll start to manifest itself. I know what an example of that is anxiety, right? So if you're dealing with anxiety and it's not being treated either through therapy or through medicine, it's going to start to manifest itself physically. And most likely that'll be like panic attacks and stuff like that, and racing thoughts. And with depression, it's kind of that's what leads to suicide. So a lot of people say, which I was talking to a colleague about this, it's the, you need to check on your friends thing, which is very, very true. We need to be checking in on our friends, but also we need to be getting them help. Because a lot of times with suicide, what happens with suicide is because the mental health is not being treated. They're not getting any type of help, whether that's therapy or medicine. They're not getting any of that. And so that's kind of leading to the suicide, because suicide is the result of untreated mental health. And so I think not only should you check on your friends, but you should tell them to get help. You should help them to get help if need be. And kind of being consistent with it. Because personally, like if somebody keeps telling me like you need to go get help, you need to go get help, like yeah, I know, but it's just like just being consistent with it and letting them know like you need to go.
So I guess so. Here is another, I guess, difficult thing to approach. Um, Sometimes we don't know that our friends and family are struggling.
Very true.
So how is it that we can reach these individuals if we don't even know, if they've never opened up to us and had a conversation to us that I'm dealing with something like that?
Mm-hmm. I think, like I said earlier, just being consistent with support, right? So even if it's not a direct, hey, I know you're dealing with X, Y, and Z, it could just be like, hey, how are you? Or and they might lie, right? Because people are gonna lie. Just like, hey, how are you? I'm here for you, because that goes a long way. People don't recognize even just somebody checking in on you, say, I love you, I'm here for you if you need me. That can be the solution from somebody living today to tomorrow. Like that can push them into the next day. Because a lot of times when people are dealing with depression and anxiety, it's just like, I just need to make it through today. And so if you just text them and say, hey, I love you, I hope you're doing well, like that will go a long way. And that probably will get somebody from today into tomorrow. So I just think even if they're not telling you, just randomly checking in and letting them know that you're there for them and you support them and you care about them and you love them. Because a lot of times when they're in that depression and anxiety or whatever mental illness that they're struggling with, they feel so alone. Like that's the piece that comes with it. So not only are our community dealing with the stigma of mental health, that we're dealing with it by ourselves because of that. Because of that stigma, we end up dealing with it by ourselves because we don't want other people to know. We don't want other people to be worried about us. And so I just think dropping them nuggets like, hey, I love you. If nobody else told you today, I love you and I'm here for you.
And just a side note, if you guys have any questions about that you would like us to answer or a conversation, just definitely drop it here in the chat so that I can answer. We can answer them for you. And I asked that because a few months, maybe towards the beginning-ish of my travel assignment, one of my coworkers committed suicide,
Mm-hmm.
and it caught me by surprise. I've been working with her. I mean, I've been in Austin since July, so I mean, I have been working with her for about 5 months. And she was so bubbly. The last shift that I worked with her, we were joking and like we had like the best night, even though it was
Mm-hmm.
a complete shit show at work. Like the three of us
Right.
together had such a great night, trying to making the most of it. I would have never known
Right.
that she was struggling with mental health issues. Never know.
Right.
Because she never came off as, you know, people think that people who are going through things, they have a look to them.
Mm-hmm. They think depression looks a certain way.
Yeah, and it doesn't. They literally
It
look
doesn't.
just like me.
It
Like,
does.
when you have this conversation, you would never know that an individual is having a struggle until literally we find out that she killed herself.
Right.
And the only way that people know is because she didn't show up to work. And so her coworkers did a welfare check on her and they found her dead at home.
Yeah. And that's the hard piece. And that's why I think that's hard, because when someone's not being vocal about it, they're not really saying about it. That's why I'm saying like just drop those nuggets. Just being kind to other people. Really, that's what it boils down to, is being kind to people, letting them know that you love them and support them. And even that might not be enough, right? Like
True.
we can't save everybody, but we
True.
can be loud about mental health and getting help for mental health and just being supportive. And I think that's where we start. But we can't save everybody, but we can be kind to everybody.
Yes. So I read an article a couple weeks ago that Essence had put out, and it was a conversation about mental health in the Black community, and that's kind of what made me spark when I had this conversation. And so a lot of times, and I know I'm guilty, I'll just, call and check on somebody, be like, hey, how you doing? Just seeing how you doing, blah, 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 and just go about our day. And it's just like surface conversation.
Right.
And so
Right.
it doesn't really get down to the really root when somebody really needs you. And so now one of the things that they mentioned in the article is talking, and the article is about like Black men and mental health. And so
Mm-hmm.
how to deal and be in relationships with Black men who are dealing and struggling with mental health. And
Mm-hmm.
so the one thing that I took away from that the most was, instead of asking someone, how are you? Ask them, how can I support you? What
Mm-hmm.
is it that you need for me to support you today?
Yeah,
Can I
which
help
is
you
really, really, really good. Because that's the piece that comes with that shame from asking for help, right? Nobody's gonna probably ask for help. They're not going to. And even if you offer, they might not take it, but they're more likely to tell you what they need versus asking for help if you ask. So
right?
that's really, really good.
So I've started to, implement that in my relationship and saying, how is it that I can support you? What do you
Mm-hmm.
need from me today? If you're going through, a high difficult. I mean, because being in a relationship with uh, Black men, it's already Black men in general already have the weight of the world on them,
Yep. Right.
and they feel that they always have to have the answers for everything. They always
Right.
have to be the ones to come to the rescue for everything. And they internalize everything.
They do.
And so
Mm-hmm.
until they get
And
to
they
a
can't
point,
express. They don't express it because of that shame. Because
yep,
they're supposed to be strong. Just
and men don't have emotions, and we don't cry, and we don't show that side of
Mm-hmm.
us. It's I won't say it's a terrible thing that they have conditioned our Black men to feel
Mm-hmm.
that way. Uh, and so it has caused, and that's why so many of them feel isolated and feel alone,
Right.
because they're like, well, what am I supposed to do?
Would it? Well, and a lot of people talking about, like we shouldn't be talking about race. Everything comes back to race. Like everything comes back. Like women, we have that. Black women have the superwoman cape, and Black men has that. Like I have to be strong. I have to be tough. I can't show my emotions. Like we both are struggling because we were instilled and it was ingrained in us from generations on top of generations that you have to be tough. Well, we don't have time for that weak stuff, right? Like, and so it's just like,
Man up. It's always man up. You need to man up. Okay, well, what does that mean?
right. That's what,
So,
like, people are telling kids that. And I'm like, how you gonna tell a 6-year-old to man up? Like, what?
right. So, it is. I mean, it's not a laughable thing, but it is very like people
Right.
are like, well, we think about it. I mean, growing up, it's the same way. So, of course, we're Black women, but it makes a difference for us to know when we raise our sons, how that's
Different.
going to look.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
What? And then that goes into like masculinity, right? And because if you show too much emotion, then you're not really masculine. Like, so I think it's up to, but I think our generation is going to, we started it already. Like, we've started unraveling some of these generational curses. And I think our children are going to be like the ones who really, because the ones after us are not putting up with much. And I
better
love
thing.
it.
She didn't do that with nothing, okay?
They are not for it. And so I think if our generation keep being loud about it, then our children are gonna kind of carry that torch. But we just have to keep being loud and keep being advocates for it and just keep talking about it. Like having these kind of conversations and being open about it and letting people know like it's nothing shameful with needing to go to therapy. Like I think everybody need a therapist. Like I don't think your life don't need to be in shambles for you to go to therapy.
No. I mean, and I think as a woman, we feel like, we have our friends that we can talk to, and I've had to learn, sometimes you have to approach your friends and you don't know what they're struggling
What
with.
they
So if
right.
you go and unload on somebody, and even they don't
Right.
have to be an empath for them to, take in everything, but people have
Right.
struggles today. And so
Right.
for you to unload on somebody without knowing what they're dealing with and what they're struggling with, I
Right.
think they're selfish.
Right.
And so
Right.
sometimes, and I've had to communicate this to people too, like, sometimes I need you to ask me, like, hey,
Right.
are
Is
you
it okay?
able
Are you in a
to,
good
for
space?
me to
Right.
be able to have this conversation with you? Are you
Right.
able for me to express what I'm going on? And let me be like, yeah, that's cool, but some days, like, I'm
I
not,
don't have it in me. I
I don't.
don't have it in me.
I can't talk to you about
Like,
nothing. I don't care what you got going on. I don't
right,
want to hear your struggle. I don't care.
right. But I think
And
also we need to also talk about the we talk about the stigma piece, but we also need to talk about the financial piece, right? Like so many, because you'll talk to Black people like, I can't afford it. Like I can't afford. So my biggest thing is, if you can't afford therapy or you feel like you can't afford therapy, like find a therapist and then ask them if they have sliding scale spots. Not all therapists have sliding scale spots, but most of them do. Like I have two that I take on.
what that is a sliding scale
So
spot.
a sliding scale is based on your income. So with a therapist, more most how I do it is I have a form. It's a sliding scale and it's based on your income and your household size. And then me personally, if you still can't pay that number, then I kind of see if I can work with something. And I'm more flexible because I don't take insurance. So all of my clients are paying out of pocket. So I have more like leeway of how low I can go, but insurance is the whole different ball game. But even then, like if you find someone who takes your insurance or who doesn't take your insurance, I say ask them if they do sliding scale. I have like a wait list for my sliding scale spots too, because of course, like we can't, yeah, like we have to eat too. So I can't take like everybody on a sliding scale, but I do try to make sure I keep 2 to 4 spots of sliding scales open. And that just depending on the therapist. Or like look through your insurance to see if they have anybody that you might, vibe with, or your job has like EAP. That's where I found my therapist, actually through my job's EAP. And so with your EAP, they usually, my job personally gives us 6 sessions per topic per year. So if you find your therapist and you go and you use all your sessions, me and my therapist was able to like work out a system of how much I would pay her after my insurance, my EAP ran out. So I just think, look through EAP, look through your insurance, ask therapists if they're taking sliding scale spots. And then, they have those websites like BetterHelp and stuff like that. I'm not a big fan of things like that because you're not really getting quality therapy a lot of the times. But I think if that's the avenue you have to go to get some type of help, like go for it. And then your local like MHMRs, if you search your city and then MHMR, they'll usually pop up with, they usually have like low cost therapy too, because that's where my full-time job is, at the local MHMR.
Okay. So where can individuals find resources outside of their insurance? Like I know there's a lot of websites that you can go to, but where are some resources that you would recommend for access for people to be able to find therapists?
My two big ones is a lot of people say psychologytoday.com. You can look on Psychology Today. They have people like therapists of colors, but my big things are therapistforblackgirls.com and therapistforblackmen.org. Those are the two big websites that I usually tell people to look. And like I said, if you find a therapist on there and they don't take your insurance, be sure to ask them about a sliding scale, or ask them if how if they have any like scholarship spots or anything like that.
So therapists for Black girls and therapists for
Therapistforblackmen.org.
I'm just pinning them so that people can find. Because that's what I hear that a lot is, well, I don't even know where to find a therapist. I don't even know where to find a good therapist. And so I suggest
And
people,
even if you find because I have people like, I have a wait list, right? But still, like when someone asks me like, hey, are you seeing clients? I'm like, no, I don't. But do you need me to give you resources? So ask the therapist that you find that you may, and they're not taking clients, ask them if they have like referrals.
and you have to, just like you have to date until you find a relationship, you got to date the therapist too. Sometimes
Yes.
it's gonna take you.
Listen, I tell like any of my clients will tell you, I tell them like, you're not gonna hurt my feelings. I promise you not, because like you're not paying me to not hurt my feelings. Like you're paying me to help you. And so if you come in and I'm not a good fit for you, like we're not really vibing like that. And like I've had to like terminate clients because I want them to be, we weren't a good fit. So I'm like, I'm going to give you referrals for a better therapist who are more equipped at what what you need. And then like I've had clients like we could bounce ideas off of, some clients like, well, I'm not making progress like I want to. And I'm like, okay, we can switch it up. If you're not liking your therapist, please be vocal. Like, you're not paying them to not hurt their feelings. Please, like, you don't have to stick to a therapist. And I know a lot of people, what I hear a lot is, but then I'm gonna have to tell my story all over again. Like, but do you want to just stay with the therapist that you're not really, thriving with, and
Right.
keep paying money, especially if you're paying out of pocket that you're not really thriving with? Like, you're gonna have to you might have to go around a couple times before to find a therapist that fits you, and that's okay.
But yeah, you got to find somebody to vibe with.
Yeah, you can't just be in.
Because they what any of that.
You're
Like
not
how
getting
are they
anything
helping
out
you?
of it.
They're not
Yeah.
helping you.
Mm-mm.
So
No.
let them know maybe of some ways that individuals. I know you mentioned that the pandemic with the isolation has been difficult for people to cope. What are some ways that individuals can kind of deal with the isolation and deal with how to cope? Even though outside is opened up. But for some people that may not be still, comfortable with
Like
going
me,
out.
because I be in the house.
Yeah. What are some
I,
ways that individuals can do to kind of cope and deal with when they're having those moments where, the anxiety might be high, they may feel depressed, they may feel isolated. What are some ways they can deal with that?
I think the biggest thing, well, I like to tell my clients, you have to pour into your cup every day. So that's something that it doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be something extravagant or where you spend money. You just have to pour it into your cup, whether it's journaling, going for a walk, making a playlist, um, praying, meditation, like something every day that's going to kind of uplift your spirits, talking to friends, like that kind of stuff, watching your favorite show, eating your favorite meal, but don't go overboard with the eating because that's not really a healthy coping skill. But things like that, something small every day. And please lean into your support system. It's hard, but if you have one, lean into it.
Yes. And for those that don't have one, you find somebody to talk to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Don't ever
Find some.
you're
But a lot of, like, even some of my clients, journaling helps. And even if I have some people who don't like journaling because your hand hurts after a while. What I have clients do is do voice memos on their phone and then just listen, like play it back. Because if you're not gonna, same thing with journal entries. Like, if you're writing your journal entries, I always like challenge my clients to go back and read it, to kind of process what they were feeling and to kind of see how to move forward with whatever they were dealing with. So do the same thing with voice memos. Like, do a voice memo and then play it back so you can hear it. Because a lot of times we're our biggest enemy and we're kind of being hard on ourselves. And so if you play it back, it's different than reading it when you hear it. Like, dang, that was mean that I said that about myself.
really good. I like those tools too. I ain't got no voice memos.
You said what?
Maybe that's that. No, we do have something on Android. There has been. But there's some.
Well, I see my phone, we come with voice memos. So,
So I think it's a very healthy conversation to have. I definitely, I want Eudaimonia. One of our pillars that we are focusing on is mental health, and
mm-hmm.
so I know that I have loved ones, I have friends, I have family members that struggle with mental health, and so it's always something that, and as a nurse, we have to be very cognizant on how we approach certain situations and
Right.
individuals, because you don't want to be a trigger for somebody. Two, you don't want to put somebody over the edge, and three,
Right.
you don't want to come off as you don't care about what that person is struggling with.
Right.
As an ER nurse, yes, I have become very jaded about. I know when somebody is for real,
Right.
and I know when it's you want the not necessarily attention, but like you ain't got nowhere to go, so you're trying to use this
You're
time.
trying to use it to, mm-hmm.
And so, because I've seen it so much, I just feel like the conversation that we just always have, to keep it at the forefront, especially, when we see things that are on social media, in the news that can be I'm triggering. Like, if that's too much from you, like, you really have to turn it off.
Right. Well, I
Because
think my recommendation for everybody is to have a limit on social media, because social media is like, it contributes to so many issues like with mental health, because of the, like, you're comparing yourself, you're comparing your life. That's why a lot of young adults are struggling, because of social media. Like, they're, well, my friend did this or that person did this. Why am I not that far along? Like, I would say 4 hours max a day on social media, and that's a lot.
but well, no, you said 4 hours a day. Okay, no,
Yeah, 4 hours. Yeah.
8 hours. But yes, you do have to turn it off. You don't always have to keep up with what's going on. You don't always have to be in the know, because it's draining.
It's yeah.
And for some people, it's very triggering.
Mm-hmm.
So, I've had 2 family members that have committed suicide, and so it is very. You really have to know your limits as an individual, and like you were saying, you do have to be there and be nice with people. You don't know what people are struggling with.
You do not know.
Going through at home.
Right.
And
And it's free. It's free to be kind. Like, people just not kind anymore. Like, even the kids. Like, kids are just mean for no reason to other kids. Like, just be kind. Like, it does not take, it don't cost nothing to be kind to people.
That's their outlet, because they're dealing with their own things.
Right.
So, set up plans for, if anyone is struggling, or knows individuals who are struggling, I'm here as a resource that can help you. Arista is also a resource.
Please send me emails. Like, I've helped many people who I couldn't have on my caseload with referrals and whatever. Like, I'm going to help any way I can.
Where can I find somebody who can look for? I need somebody, because I tell people all the time, I don't know it all. I don't claim
Right.
to know it all, but I know somebody who might know something.
Right.
And if I can plug you in the direction of someone to get your help, like, you don't have to be ashamed. You can slide me a note. Like, that's all,
Right.
you don't even come to me personally. Like, drop me a DM. You can, slide me a note when you see me. Like, it doesn't have to, don't make it.
Right.
Just allow yourself, the freedom and the flexibility to grow, and allow yourself to be there and don't beat yourself up about it.
Right. Yep.
So, again, let them know, like, where they can find you. I know you said many times you have a wait list.
I do have a wait list. I know. I'm trying, I'm in the works of going Puzzle Piece full time, but until then I have a wait list, or until I have some clients terminate. But Puzzle Piece Counseling on Instagram, Facebook. I think my Twitter is like Puzzle Piece PP or something like that, but I don't use it. So just Instagram and Facebook, Puzzle Piece Counseling. Website is puzzlepiececounseling.org. If you go on my website, there's a sheet on there where you can like send me information if you don't want to like send me a private message, and it'll send me a private message like through that.
I think this is a great conversation. I appreciate you taking the time out of your day today, to kind of talk through this, fitting for the last day of Black History Month, making sure that, we keep our mental health on the forefront. So, like I was saying, one of the pillars of Eudaimonia is mental health. And so we will definitely be integrating mental health resources into our platform. So that is in the works, just trying to figure out I know how to do it, just trying to figure out what's going to be the best option for everybody. This is a great live. Thank you. We appreciate that. It's a topic that is difficult for people to talk about.
It is.
So I feel when you have people who look like you talking about the things that you don't want to talk about, I think that is very important, because we have to keep continuing this conversation. We have to keep being an advocate for mental health. Whether you're struggling, somebody that you know struggling, like it can be a lot.
Right.
can be a lot.
It is. It is a lot.
And you have to be sure that, you're able to, like you're saying, like you can't pour from an empty cup, and a lot of people do try to do that. So you can't get what you don't have.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't have
What I also hear a lot too is like people get they fill up their cup by helping other people, which is great. But I think that should be an overflow. Like you need to fill up your own cup first, and what other people pour into you is extra. But you can't depend on what other people are going to pour into you to keep
and you
going.
have to be open to allowing people to pour into you if it's the right stuff.
Mm-hmm.
A
Very
lot
true.
of times we fill our lives with negativity and stuff that we follow, and self-talk and self-doubt and fears and all. Like we pour so much negativity into ourselves
Right.
that anytime anybody gives you a compliment, it's like, oh no, they can't.
Right. Mm-hmm. Which then comes like the imposter syndrome. Like a lot of people don't know is Black people probably struggle with imposter syndrome the most, but that's a conversation for another day.
But I definitely think, this is definitely something, y'all let me know how y'all enjoyed the live. Is this conversations that y'all would like to continue to have? Maybe we can talk about, like different topics. Because imposter syndrome is big. And it does have, it has a lot of different, it's a big topic. I'll say that.
Right.
And so, funny, I'll end it with this, but yesterday on our podcast, one of the red flags was that people have for like not dating people is excessive emotion. Like people who are like overly jealous, like deal with depression. And so the host was saying that if someone who battles that, and I think that she was trying to say like if it's not dealt with, but somebody who deals with depression and anxiety, that's not somebody that she feels like she can be in a relationship with because it's so much. And
it's a lot, especially if it's untreated. If it's not treated, that's hard.
It is. And so, a lot of women are, out looking and searching for partners, and you just have to be cognizant on those things, because a lot of individuals, male or female, they haven't dealt with their issues. A lot of them has past traumas. A lot of people are still living with those things, and they just have never addressed them. So they show up and they wreak havoc on the people who are intimate with, because they simply tend to be
because they don't. Now I will say, like, give people a chance to try. Like if you bring it to them, because a lot of people just they're not aware, right? So I say I'm always the same thing with my boundary conversation is you have to put the boundaries into place first. And then if they don't respond to the boundary you put into place, then you take action to them not responding. But you can't have blind expectations. Like you can't expect people to know what you need if you don't give it to them. Like you can't get mad at me for an expectation that I didn't even know was there. So I'm thinking like explain to people, make it aware to like, hey, I think you're struggling with this. Can you please go get help? And then if they decide not to get help, then okay, that's a different story. But I would say it's because that's a part of the shame too, right? People are afraid to open up to other people because they're going to feel judged and going to feel like they're worthless and they're disposable. And so I would challenge people to make them aware of it and then help them to go get help. And then if they don't, then like, okay, yeah, I can't do this.
I agree. And I said the same thing. I thought I was like, I give people the opportunity at least talk to them about it first. People don't recognize the issue that they have because nobody brought it to their attention.
Right.
So, gotta be like, hey.
But you can't, you're not gonna get 3, 4, 5 chances. 2, 3, 4, 5 chances. Like I done told you already.
Yeah. Have it started. Okay, girl. Now, okay, boy.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you having this conversation with us, and allowing us to be open about the conversation about mental health and be clear and be able to freely discuss it. Because I know as therapists we have this conversation with people a lot, but a lot of people don't get the opportunity to have a conversation with a therapist that really understands.
Right. I'm all for it. That's my biggest thing, passion is breaking that stigma in our community. So I appreciate it.
Yes. And I have my shirt, Breaking Generational Curses.
It's coming. I know. It's coming back.
So thank you guys so much. If you guys don't have any other questions, thank you so much for tuning into this live. Go out, be great. Ask someone how you can support them today, this week, and
And remember, it's okay to not be okay.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you, Ristia. I appreciate you, and we're going to do this again soon.
All right. Bye.
Bye. So I hope you guys enjoyed the live this evening, or this afternoon. It's very important for us to keep mental health on the forefront, be there for individuals maybe struggling or need help. And just, like she was saying, be nice to people, go out, do great things. Again, if you or someone you know is struggling with mental illness, need resources, or need somebody to turn to, always reach out to us at Eudaimonia Beauty. We can get you some resources that you need. And you can always reach out to us here as well. Counseling on Facebook and Instagram. And we appreciate y'all joining us today and having this conversation. I do understand that sometimes conversations about mental health is not an easy one. It can be difficult for those to, talk about and discuss. But we got to keep talking about it. We got to keep open mind about it. We have to continue to be there. Mental health is a big part of your overall wellness, and I keep saying, if you look good, you feel good, but if you don't feel good, you're not going to look good. And part of feeling good is making sure your mental is in check as well. So go out, be great today, be nice to someone, tell somebody that you love them today, and y'all have a great day. And we will catch y'all later.